A young mother disappears without a trace, leaving behind more questions than answers. As police dive into the case, every new clue only makes things more puzzling. But eventually, a chilling trail of evidence leads them to a dark truth, one that no one saw coming. Ashley Mead was born on November 14, 1991, in the small town of Warren in Pennsylvania. She grew up in a big family, surrounded by siblings. From an early age, Ashley had a deep love for all things creative. She was passionate about singing, poetry, and fashion. She was also a huge nature lover and always dreamed of traveling. Over the years, she explored almost every state in the U.S. and even visited Canada and Mexico. After finishing high school, Ashley moved to New York to study liberal arts. Later, she transferred to Louisiana State University in Shreveport. That's where she met a guy named Adam, and the two started dating. For the next few years, Ashley stayed focused on her studies, until her life took a sudden, devastating turn. She was in a serious car accident, which led to a long and difficult recovery. And even though she eventually managed to get back to her normal life, she now had a new problem: medical bills. The debt piled up during her treatment, and she had no choice but to drop out of school and start working full-time. Around that same time, things between her and Adam started falling apart. Eventually, the two decided to break up. But almost immediately after that, Ashley found out that she was pregnant. Despite everything she had been through in the past few years, she was overjoyed and couldn't wait to become a mom. She also wanted her child to grow up in a two-parent home, so she and Adam agreed to co-parent their daughter. By then, Adam had moved to Boulder, Colorado to study culinary arts and become a chef, and Ashley decided to follow him there. Ashley and Adam rented an apartment in a small residential complex, and before long, their daughter Winter Daisy was born. Even though they had decided not to get back together, they were both completely devoted to their little girl, sharing the responsibilities of raising her and giving her all their love. A few months after Winter was born, Ashley got a job as a teaching assistant at a preschool. Later, she joined an organization that helped children from low-income families get ready for school. The work was tough, but Ashley had a natural way with kids. They loved her from the start. This continued until February 2017. By then, Ashley was 25 years old, raising her one-year-old daughter and working with kids. But on February 13th, she didn't show up for her shift. Her co-workers found it odd. They tried calling and texting her, but she never responded. The next day, when she missed work again, one of her colleagues decided to contact the police. She asked them to check on Ashley and her daughter to make sure that they were okay. The local police department sent officers to her apartment complex. As soon as they got there, they noticed a few strange things. The outdoor lights near the entrance were on, even though it was the middle of the day. The front door was unlocked, so the officers stepped inside, but there was no sign of Ashley, her daughter, or Adam. As they looked around, more red flags popped up. Ashley's belongings, her phone, driver's license, and purse, were still inside, yet her car was missing from the parking lot, which didn't make sense. Then in the kitchen, they found something even more unsettling: a half-cooked meal left in the oven, as if someone had started making dinner but, for some reason, never finished and never came back. All of this seemed suspicious, so the police decided to contact Ashley's parents. Her mother told them she hadn't heard from Ashley in days and had no idea where she might have gone. She also found it strange that Ashley had left her cat behind, something she never did. According to her mom, Ashley always took the cat with her wherever she traveled, no matter where she went. Desperate for answers, her mother started reaching out to family and friends, hoping someone had heard from Ashley. But no one had spoken to her in days. Meanwhile, the police tried calling Adam, but he wasn't answering either. And when investigators attempted to track his phone, they made another unsettling discovery: it had been turned off. As for Ashley's phone, the police handed it over to the experts, and they quickly uncovered several important clues. The data showed that the last time Ashley used her phone was on February 12th, 2 days before her coworker reported her missing. It was her day off, and she had spent it running errands with her daughter. She visited a few stores, picked out a new dress, and snapped some photos before heading home. After speaking with Ashley's neighbors, detectives were able to piece together more details about that evening. One neighbor recalled seeing her taking out the trash around 6 p.m. Then, sometime before 9 p.m., another neighbor heard a loud, heavy thud coming from Ashley's apartment. She thought it sounded like someone falling down the stairs, but after that, everything went silent, and she didn't hear anything else. This detail caught the investigators' attention, especially since Ashley's phone activity had stopped right around 9 p.m. That made them suspect something bad might have happened to her at that exact moment. Soon, they got another lead. Data from her phone revealed that shortly before her disappearance, Ashley had started dating a man named Harvey. Detectives went through their messages and found something interesting. His texts gave off a suspicious vibe, and that was enough for police to want to talk to him in person. When officers showed up at Harvey's house, he allowed them to search the place without a warrant. He insisted he had no idea where Ashley was and claimed he hadn't spoken to her in days. According to him, on the night she vanished, he was hanging out with friends, and his alibi checked out. They all confirmed his story. Harvey even let the police go through his phone, and the data backed up his claims. So for now, he didn't seem to be involved. With Harvey ruled out as a suspect, detectives kept searching for new leads. Since they still hadn't found any trace of Ashley, they decided to take a different approach, tracking down Adam's relatives in hopes of locating him. And that's when they finally caught a break. When investigators contacted Adam's parents in Louisiana, they revealed something interesting. Adam had stopped by their house just a day earlier, on February 13th. According to his parents, Adam had arrived with his daughter, but without Ashley. They were completely caught off guard by his visit, especially since he hadn't told anyone he was coming. That alone seemed odd, considering the drive from Colorado to Louisiana was almost 1,000 miles. But Adam had a simple explanation. He claimed he had been planning the trip for a while so that his daughter could spend time with her relatives. Despite the surprise, his family was happy to see them. Adam stayed the night, and the next day, he left for Arkansas to visit his grandmother. Detectives asked his relatives to reach out and tell him to call the police right away, because they needed to know where Ashley was. At first, Adam didn't pick up their calls, but eventually, he turned on his phone and contacted the detectives. Adam told them he had no idea where Ashley was and claimed he had been trying to reach her the entire time, but she never answered his calls or texts. According to his story, on the evening of February 12th, they got into a serious argument, one that turned physical. He admitted that he had hit her. After that, he decided to leave the house for a while to avoid escalating the situation any further, and he took Winter with him. He also admitted to taking Ashley's car, saying he didn't have one of his own. At that point in the conversation, Adam revealed that he had already left Louisiana and was driving through Oklahoma. Adam's story didn't sit right with the detectives. The more they thought about it, the more they suspected he might have played a direct role in Ashley's disappearance. But since he was in another state, they couldn't just bring him in for questioning. Then they noticed a critical detail. Adam wasn't listed on Winter's birth certificate. Legally, that meant he had no right to take her out of state without Ashley's permission. So detectives used this to their advantage. They contacted police in Oklahoma and asked them to detain him. A few hours later, patrol officers spotted Ashley's car on the road. Adam was taken into custody, and thankfully, Winter was found safe with him. While detectives prepared for his interrogation, forensic experts searched the car, and what they found was deeply unsettling. Under one of the back seats, they discovered traces of blood. When they ran a DNA test, the results confirmed it belonged to Ashley. For the first time, investigators had physical evidence suggesting that Ashley might no longer be alive. But they still had no idea what had actually happened to her. That was about to change, though, because another clue was just around the corner. Soon after speaking with Adam's parents, detectives received an unexpected call from his younger sister. She told them that she hadn't been able to see Adam and Winter the day they arrived. Instead, she stopped by their parents' house the following morning. By that time, their parents had already left for work, and Adam was supposed to be getting ready for his trip to another state. But the moment she walked in, his reaction caught her off guard. He looked genuinely shocked to see her. He seemed extremely nervous, and something about his behavior felt off. Then she noticed something strange. Cleaning supplies were scattered everywhere, and it looked like Adam had been scrubbing something in the guest bedroom. When she asked him what was going on, he gave her a bizarre explanation. He claimed he had suddenly felt sick and thrown up on the floor, so he was just trying to clean it up before leaving. She offered to help, but Adam immediately refused. Instead, he rushed her out of the house. Detectives wasted no time. They headed straight to Louisiana and began searching the house with a team of forensic experts, and what they found was horrifying. In the guest bedroom where Adam had been cleaning when his sister walked in, investigators discovered multiple traces of blood. But that wasn't all. In the backyard shed, they found an electric saw and a barbecue lid, both covered in blood. When the evidence was sent to the lab, the results confirmed what detectives had already suspected: the blood belonged to Ashley. At this point, it was clear she hadn't simply disappeared. Something terrible had happened to her. But there were still so many unanswered questions. If Adam had killed her in Colorado, why would he transport her body more than 1,000 miles away? And what did he do with it after leaving his parents' house? As detectives prepared to confront Adam with all these questions, the case took another unexpected turn. That same day, February 15th, police in a small town in Oklahoma reached out with disturbing news. Earlier that morning, a gas station employee went outside to take out the trash when she noticed a suitcase sitting near the dumpster. It looked brand new, which struck her as odd. Why would someone throw it away? Curiosity got the best of her, and she decided to take a look inside. But the moment she unzipped it, she immediately regretted it. Inside were human remains. When police officers arrived, they confirmed that the suitcase contained a human torso. The remains were sent to a lab for DNA testing, but at first, investigators had no way of identifying the victim. Then, word began to spread about Ashley's disappearance. Oklahoma detectives connected the dots and reached out to their colleagues working on her case. They shared the DNA sample from the torso, and it was a match. Investigators requested surveillance footage from the gas station, specifically the cameras covering the dumpster area. What they found was exactly what they expected. Footage of Ashley's car pulling up as Adam stepped out carrying the very same suitcase and left it next to the dumpsters before driving away. With this, detectives were finally able to piece together a chilling timeline of what likely happened to Ashley. Based on all the evidence, they believed Adam had killed her on the night of February 12th while they were at home. After that, he came up with a plan. Visiting his relatives would give him the perfect cover to get rid of her remains in multiple states, making it harder for police to track them down. Since Ashley's blood had been found inside his parents' house, detectives suspected Adam had transported her body there. He waited until his parents left for work, then used their electric saw to dismember her remains. After that, he hit the road, dumping pieces of her body along the way. This realization made one thing painfully clear: Adam could have stopped anywhere along his route, which stretched for hundreds of miles. That made the search for the rest of Ashley's remains incredibly difficult. But detectives weren't ready to give up. They carefully reconstructed Adam's travel path, tracing his journey from his parents' house to the spot where he was arrested. Their goal was to find more surveillance footage that might show him disposing of additional remains. Eventually, they found what they were looking for: CCTV footage from a gas station in the small town of Moorlawn, Arkansas. The video showed Adam throwing something into a dumpster. But there was a major problem. By the time investigators discovered this, the dumpster's contents had already been taken to a landfill. Determined to recover whatever he had discarded, police launched a massive search effort. More than 40 people were sent to comb through the landfill, but despite their best efforts, they found nothing. Even though Adam's guilt seemed almost undeniable, the fact that parts of Ashley's body were still missing posed a serious challenge. Without a full body, medical examiners couldn't determine her exact cause of death. The torso showed some cuts and abrasions, but these injuries had been sustained while she was still alive, likely as she fought back against her attacker that night. As for Adam, he stuck to his story. Even when detectives laid out all the evidence in front of him, he refused to confess. He insisted that he and Ashley had argued, and he had simply left with their daughter, that she had been alive when he last saw her. But with the overwhelming amount of physical evidence against him, detectives didn't need a confession. They arrested Adam and charged him with murder. As prosecutors built their case, they uncovered another damning piece of evidence: Adam's personal journal. Inside, he had written about wanting to kill Ashley long before it actually happened. His journal revealed deep resentment. He believed she was only staying with him for the sake of their daughter. And in a way, he wasn't wrong. Ashley really was living with him just for winter. But that had been their mutual agreement from the start. Still, Adam had wanted more from their relationship, while Ashley didn't feel the same way. At the same time, He wrote extensively about how much he loved his daughter and how terrified he was that Ashley might take her away from him. According to the prosecution, this was the breaking point for Adam. They believed he was jealous that Ashley had started seeing someone new, even though their own relationship had ended nearly 2 years earlier. More than anything, he feared she might leave him for good, taking their daughter with her. That, they argued, was what pushed him to commit murder. And in a desperate attempt to cover his tracks, Adam tried to make it look like Ashley had simply vanished. He even called and texted her after killing her, pretending to be worried, as if he had no idea where she had gone. Before the trial began, it was revealed that Adam had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and PTSD from his time in the military. But that didn't change a thing. He was still found guilty and held accountable for his actions. In April 2018, a jury unanimously found him guilty of murder. He was sentenced to life in prison, plus an additional 12 years. Adam later tried to appeal the verdict, but his request was denied. To this day, he remains behind bars and still refuses to reveal where he disposed of the rest of Ashley's remains. One final detail I want to mention. After Adam's arrest, Winter was placed in the custody of Child Protective Services, despite both sides of the family wanting to take her in. What happened to her after that remains unknown, as authorities have kept this information private due to her age. So all that's left is to hope she was eventually placed with relatives and not left in the foster care system. Share your thoughts on this story in the comment section, and don't forget to press the like button if you enjoyed my video. Thank you for watching.